Today, we're sitting down on the porch with Rodge, a QHS admin whose life is as heartwarming as a home-cooked meal. What paths did she follow to get to where she is today? Let's take a stroll down memory lane and see what's been cooking behind the scenes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my prequel backstory. My name is Rodge, and I was born in 1969 in the northeastern corner of Oklahoma. And I would like to share a little bit about my ancestry with you before I start with my grandparents. I actually have made 1,194 contributions to my genealogy, which I'm very proud of. And my findings were that I come from individuals that actually owned slaves and actually were slaves. So this was news to me. However, I'm very proud of all of my family and my history. I have, my genetic ties are, I am an Iroquois, Powhatan, Delaware, Shawnee, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, Freedman, English, Irish, Scottish, German, and French. So that pretty much covers the planet, and I'm very proud of that fact. But my grandparents actually were all from Oklahoma, and I am a living descendant of Trail of Tears survivors when the United States government removed the Indians from the East and Oklahoma, and that is how we all came to be in Oklahoma. And I'm very proud of that fact. So my mother and father were really young when they got married. My mom was 16 and my dad was 18. And my mother's father, she was the youngest of 4 children, and her father worked for McDonnell Douglas Aircraft all of his career. He pastored an undenominational church. His wife was a stay-home mother, and she played piano during the church services, and she was my Sunday school teacher. My father was the middle of 3 on his side of the family, and his father was a pipe fitter welder journeyman, and he traveled for a living. And my grandmother she actually worked full-time and at the Will Rogers Memorial here in my hometown, and that's where she worked for her entire career. All of my grandparents were pillars in the community, and they cared for everyone. We never met a stranger. They were ranchers and farmers. They produced everything that they put on the table. And I was, fortunate enough to eat the best food that, was available in my young development between the time I was born and the time I was, 5 years old. And my life really changed because my parents actually got out on their own and got their own place. And about 5 years later, I actually sustained a beating that was so bad, I had to be removed from my home. And I went to live with my father's mother and father at that time. And once I was removed, it was, they found out that my jaw had been dislocated. My nose had been fractured. I sustained blunt force trauma to my head, which impaired one of my eyes. And I actually had gashes from head to toe from this occurrence, so bad that my brother, who was born in 72, I was the eldest child, and my brother actually witnessed this occurrence and truly thought that I was going to die. And after that, my life really just never was the same. I was an athlete. I was really good in school. I was smart. I loved to read, and I loved to learn, and I loved to compete. And but after this, I just never was the same. I wasn't the happy child that I had grown up, previously being, free-spirited. And I've spent a lifetime dealing with the amount of trauma and abuse and neglect, emotional and behavioral issues from my past at the hands of my own parents. So I learned a long time ago that to make everyone happy, unfortunately, my mother she got addicted to Big Farm and was consuming pharmaceuticals from a young age. And I was, unbeknownst to me, had no idea, anything about any of that. So my mom was always sick, and I always was there to do whatever and assist in any way that I could. I took care of my brother, and I took care of our household. I did all the cooking and cleaning, and I just was responsible for. I had a lot of responsibility when I was young, and honestly, looking back, I believe that I really never had a childhood. I was, just always expected to be an adult, and this created issues with me socially because my home life was really a challenge for me. It was hard for me to meet friends. I never brought people home, and I really never made any really long lasting connections with anyone, and my family was my life. So I didn't finish school. I quit school in the 10th grade, and my father and mother decided to leave Oklahoma, and I went with them when I was in 1997. They moved out of state, and I went with them. And when I was 21 years old, I met a guy in Las Vegas, Nevada, and him and I moved in together, and he is the father of my only child. I dearly loved her. I dearly love her with all of my heart. She is my life, and the best thing that I ever did in my life was give birth to my daughter. I had a really tough time. I lost 3 children before I even had her. So I was very grateful when she was born, and she was born in 1996. And the year she was born, I knew that I did not want her to have the life I had had. So I left him, and I met my husband that I'm married to right now. His name is Brad. And he was a good man and the love of my life. He was considerably older than me. He's 10 and a half years older than me. And he was married, and he had a son from his previous marriage who's married and has 5 children of his own. And just in the last 5 years, he himself has become a grandfather of 2. My husband, when I was actually 33 years old, he was diagnosed with melanoma, and the doctors gave him 3 months to live. And this actually, really affected me because after coming from where I came from and all the challenges and struggles, I really had a hard time with this because I never loved anyone as deeply as I loved this man. And now he was going to be taken away from me. And it made me realize that I was unskilled. And if I had lost my husband, I would have been the sole survivor of, my daughter. My husband actually adopted her when she was 4 years old. Him and I, we built a really great life together. He was very knowledgeable, and we decided when my daughter was younger that we were going to be advocates and see that my daughter never finished her required shots that she was, the series of shots she was expected to finish. And at 1.5 years old, we just pulled the plug on that with a waiver and kept that on file. And I actually had to fight that issue with the school every year. And I showed up and made sure that, it was effective. But my husband actually went ahead and he survived the melanoma. But what I did is I went ahead and realized I started working on my career just in case that I had to step up and provide for my daughter. So I actually got certified and went in entry-level nursing as an aide. And that was basically the start of my medical career at that time. And we actually lived here in Oklahoma, and we raised her until 2010. And then we moved to Pahrump, Nevada in 2010, where we met a young man who was 25 years old at the time, and he had lost his entire family and had really, truly no one. And I actually was prompted to go ahead and legally, adopt him and into our family. And he has been a part of our family for 14 years. And basically my backstory is that I eat my medicine every day in the form of food. I didn't take aspirins. I wasn't, into big farm. I, was athlete. I stayed healthy. My whole entire life, I've been a humanitarian, and I've done whatever it's taken to just assist everyone around me who was in need. If they needed a meal, or if they needed a ride, or if they needed the electric bill paid, I would make sure that, it was taken care of. I always chose to do everything privately. I just felt that it was really no one's business to know where any blessings was coming. So I've been pretty much, wife and a mother and a cousin. My favorite thing is I love to swim, and I love spring water is my favorite. So my husband and I, actually, he had a remission about with his cancer. It came back in 2016 while we were living in Pahrump, Nevada, and I was with him when he had his treatment, and once again, he survived. And he wanted to move to Ogden, Utah to be closer to his son. So him and I, we moved from Pahrump, Nevada to Ogden, Utah at that time. And we spent a couple of years there. And this is actually where I started getting into genealogy and really, getting into my background. I was struggling, and I had a really tough time understanding, a lot of the things that, why a lot of people felt the way that they did about me. But in the end, I really seen everyone truly who they were, and realized that I'm the only one that's going to take care of me. I'm the only one that's going to love me. And right now, today, I love myself more than I've ever loved myself in my life. I had low self-esteem, and I no longer have that problem. I know my value. I know my worth. I am absolutely just not going to let anyone harsh my gig. No nonsense. So if I ever disappear, you will be able to find me floating and letting life flow through me, and not let life happen to me. I will be at the creek. I will be floating, and I will be balanced, loving, and enjoying every single experience for the rest of my life. And I will never take anything for granted. In my reflection picture, you can find Rodge down at the creek. And I hope you've enjoyed my backstory. And I look forward to many more years here at QHS. And I look forward to having my teeth perfect and all of the things that have been done to me corrected in one sitting. I will never revisit or be the same person that I am today. And I really appreciate your time, taking the time to listen to my prequel and to listen to my backstory. Thank you.
Join us on the prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.